Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, the Mighty Bjorn, and today for you I have another Skies of Ace Combat video. I'm going to be talking about the French Rafael today. It is a twin-engine, canard Delta Wayne style multi-role fighter. Essentially what you have is you have a set of large wains that start just about the middle of the plane and runs all the way to the tail, and then you have a set of canards just below the cockpit. Yes, you can get a really good look here of what I'm trying to describe to you of how this plane actually looks. And this is, as I said, the French Rafale. The Rafale was designed and produced by Dassault Aviation. I know the logo doesn't show very good there, but that actually is their company logo. And it was designed with the intention for the fighter to perform a very wide variety of roles, including air supremacy, aerial reconnaissance, and ground support. So this was kind of supposed to be a jack of all trades, master of none, multi-role type of plane from the chute. This wasn't one of those planes that, well, originally it was supposed to be a fighter, but then we made it do this and we had to upgrade it so it can do this. Kind of like the story with the F-16, where the F-16 was originally a fighter, and then later it would become a multi-role plane. And that's even the same way with like the YF-17 originally. That was designed to be a strict fighter, interceptor, air supremacy type plane, and then later it would be formed into being more of a multi-role type plane. This plane was designed out the gate to be a one-size-fits-all multi-role plane. What I mean by one size fits all, I actually literally mean one size fits all. I'll get more into that here in a bit, because in the 1970s, both the French Air Force and Navy had requirements for a next generation fighter to replace their aging planes that were already in service or was going to be coming in service. They knew this project was going to take some time. In 1979, Dassault Aviation joined the project for the European combat aircraft. Dassault contributed the layout of a single-seat twin-engine design. However, the project would end up being canceled in 1981. This was due to the different requirements from each of the partnering countries. There was actually, at this point, there was quite a few countries that were involved in the development of this plane, and while it does sound good in the sense of, you know, that's more money you can pull together for research and development, one problem, especially that kept being a reoccurrence when it came to the Rafale, is that everybody had their own opinions about what the fighter should be and what its capabilities should be and what the needs of the fighter would be, etc., etc. So basically, that would split apart. The project regained its legs in 1983. The new project was called Future European Combat Aircraft. It was the FECA. The new project would include Italy, Spain, West Germany, France, and the United Kingdom. Of course, once again, this project would end in failure as well, but the Eurofighter project would restart in September 1985. The result from the Royal Eurofighter project would actually be the Typhoon. However, with all that being said, France would proceed with its own program. Construction of the Rafale A would begin in 1984, with the demonstrator rolling out December 1985. The demonstrator was built with a General Electric F404 GE400 engines, two of them. These are actually the F-18 engines. The M88 engine wasn't used at the time because it was a newer engine and it was not considered usable for the trial program. More or less it was, we really don't know how reliable this engine is going to be, we're not going to use it, even though that actually is a French engine. However, the M88 would be installed into the Rafale in 1990. One of the engines, one of the 404 engines, would burn out or damage or something, would break down essentially, and they would replace it with the M88 engine, and it actually worked perfectly just fine. The Rafale A was retired in 1994 after 865 flights with 4 different pilots. During its time, the Rafale A would take part in a wide variety of tests, including carrier tests. So they were testing this thing to be an Air Force and naval plane. Now, production of the Rafale was to begin in 1992. Initially, the Rafale B was to be produced as a 2-seat trainer, but the Gulf War proved usefulness of 2-man aircraft for ground attack and reconnaissance missions. Therefore, the French Air Force stated its preference towards a 2-seat variant of the Rafale. Basically, they wanted 60% of their flight arm of Rafales to be a 2-seat variant. However, that would not come to fruition. Production of the Rafale formally began in 1992, but production was ceased in 1995. This was due to political and economic uncertainty at the time. Production would restart again in January of 1997. The Ministry of Defense would agree with Dassault on the production run of 48 aircraft. That being said, deliveries would begin between 2002 and 2007. Another order of 59 Rafale F3s was ordered in December of 2004, and another order was placed in 2007 for an additional 60 aircraft. As of right now, it is planned to keep the Rafale in service until 2040. That's kind of a stretch in my opinion, but I'll get to that in a bit. The Rafale, while not a true stealth fighter, it was designed with a reduced radar cross signature, basically really small, and a reduced infrared signature. So actually, for some odd reason, the way it's designed, the heat signature of the plane does not show up all that well. It's got something to do with the motors, and sorry folks, I don't understand it. I am not a professional at aircraft. My knowledge is tanks. The Rafale max speed is 1,188 miles per hour. That is 1,912 kmh for my non-American audience at a high altitude. This is It is armed with a 30 millimeter Giat M791 autocannon. Actually, the very same autocannon that you see here. And it carries 125 rounds. The Rafale B, C versions, which are Air Force versions, has 14 pylons, while the Navy version, the Rafale M, which is actually what you're seeing gameplay here of, has only 13 pylons. I suspect what that has to do with is the wane tips probably fold. I'm not sure why there's a variation in the wanes. That was not specified when I was doing the research, unfortunately. But so that's really the information I have for you to present to you on the Rafale, but I do actually have some opinions on this aircraft. Going by what I've seen, training footage, aerial flight shows, and just additional information out there, these planes are actually really good. Very, very maneuverable planes. It's got a lot of speed to it for being such a small plane. I mean, they are extremely capable. And what I've gleaned from listening to interviews and whatever with pilots that trained against Rafales, understand that, like, America would maybe send an F-16 fighter squadron to France, and they would do a series of training against, you know, either the French Navy or the French Air Force, or vice versa, where they would send pilots here and we would train against them here over American soil. And essentially what I could glean is these things are actually really capable aircraft for being such a small plane. And they actually can pack quite a bit of ordnance too for being such a small plane. Now, one thing though, I think, and I mean, this is kind of just trying to look ahead right now, understand that they want to keep this plane in service for another 20 years. But I mean, we are starting to see more and more fifth generation aircraft, as well as, well, the United States alone is already in the process of designing a sixth generation aircraft. And I'm kind of scratching my head on how feasible is this plane going to be as a frontline fighter come 2040. Maybe even sooner. I mean, Russia just came out with its Su-57 Felons. I'm not going to get too deep into those because there is kind of a lot of controversy in that about them. And I actually do plan on doing a future video on the Su-57. But then, of course, you have the F-35, the F-22, and who knows what else is going to be coming up the pipe. I don't remember what China's is, but China is working on a fifth-generation fighter as well. I think it might be the J-20, but it might be mistaken. I think it's like the J-20 Dragon. And then I also believe Japan is working on a project to kind of, quote-unquote, resurrect the YF-23, or at least that's what the rumors seem to be, is that they're really interested in the YF-23, the Black Widow project. But anyway, folks, I think I'm going to wrap it up at that when it comes to the Rafale. I really don't know a ton about this aircraft. Understand this is French, and most of my aircraft knowledge is between the United States, because I'm an American, and the Germans, or sorry, not the Germans, the Russian aircraft, because they were the bad guys, and a lot of their aircraft are still the same stuff they were using during the Cold War, but whatever. I ain't going to get too deep into that. Anyway, folks, hopefully you did enjoy this video. Thank you very much for tuning in, and have yourself a wonderful day.